Here with Concordia head women's soccer coach Greg Henson to preview the 2017 season after another appearance in the GPAC Tournament Championship, a championship game victory. When we look back at that last fall, it's pretty impressive for the program to be a part of 3 of those conference championship games in a row. How much pride do you take in that fact?
I think it's immensely important for our program and kind of where we started from and where we've gone in the last 4 years, and especially the last 3 to really kind of put ourselves at the top, within the top 3 of the conference, top 4 of the conference consistently in the regular season, and then rise to the occasion in the conference tournament to be in that championship game in each of the last 3 years and be fortunate enough to win it twice. And it's something that we set our sights on every year, and so that going into this year we want to really use that experience that we have in those tough playoff settings and put ourselves again in a position to hopefully contend for the conference championship this fall in the regular season and find our way back into that championship game.
Well, we talked about it a little bit last fall too, but with hosting that kind of atmosphere that you had in the GPAC championship game, is that maybe what you had in mind when you got here, what you envisioned for this program is playing in that kind of environment?
Yeah, it was also an environment here, last November, and the way that the student body and just the support from across campus with the fan turnout was remarkable, and it was a great environment for our players and something that I think, or I know that they will never forget, and so hopefully again we can put ourselves in a position to host playoff games and hopefully recreate that environment. And it's definitely what we talked about 4 or 5 years ago when I first arrived, is getting to that setting and getting to that stage, and I kind of promised the girl that if we get there, the fans would show up, and I was really excited when they did, and again, it was just a great atmosphere, and hopefully we can recreate that this fall.
Well, your players that have been in the program 2-3 years that are coming back, they've been part of a lot of winning, as we've talked about. What does that do for your culture, and where is that at right now?
I think it just raises the expectations that our players have for themselves and for their teammates and for our program, and it's no longer a lofty goal or something that we just talk about. It's something that they've kind of come to expect and understand the pressure that comes along with that success to get back. It's easier to get there the first time than it is the second, and it's definitely harder the third. And for us to continue that, we continue to put a target on our back within the conference, and there's definitely teams that look at us, as whether or not it's as a team to beat or a team that they should beat, but there's a little bit more on the line for them, I think, going into those games that maybe prior to the last 3 years when Concordia would jump on the field. So the experience is great for our players, and I think they, like I said, they really kind of have that expectation, but it's still a matter of putting in the hard work on a daily basis at practice and doing the things that are necessary for us to continue to contend for those championship games.
Well, everything seems to move quickly, and Maria Dieter's already now going into basically the second half of her college career. What would you like to see from her as a junior? Maybe what's the next step up for her?
I think it falls on not just her individual play, but just that she continues to evolve as a player and more importantly as a leader. And we've seen such big strides from her over the last few years, and we talked about it last year where we essentially made her a captain second semester her freshman year, and put some pressure on her there, but she rose to the occasion and has passed that test with flying colors and continues to kind of guide this program and this team, and we just look for her to continue that, and hopefully as the years go by, it gets a little easier for her and from that aspect, and for her teammates as well.
Sammy Birmingham was probably one of the better freshman seasons in program history. What about her allowed her to have that kind of success so quickly?
Seeming the natural goal scorer, and I think a lot of it came into play because of her teammates and the play around her. with them being able to set her up and finding her with the ball in and around the 18 and giving her a chance to finish off those opportunities and we look for Sammy to continue to have a great career. But it's, again, whether we talk about Dieter or Sammy or any other individual players, from year to year, it's never about the individual success. It's about the team success. And, last year was an opportunity for Sammy to step up, and she did so in a big way. And we hope that she continues to score goals at that pace. That would make our job a lot easier. But it's going to be somebody every year that steps up to fill that void, and we'll see what happens this fall.
And every senior class that you've had lately seems to break the record for most wins in a 4-year stretch. And this class may be on track to do that again. Some of the prominent names are Janelle Condam and Esther Sankson. What makes this class special and unique?
Well, I think number one, it's the first class I recruited, and so this last year's senior class was with me all the way through, but they were kind of already here when I arrived, and this is the first class that kind of believed in the journey and believed in what we were talking about and what we were selling, so to speak, and as far as the dreams and the goals that we had and aspirations for the program. So they bought into that right away during the recruiting process. And they've been able to be all along the way, watch it unfold, and it's remarkable for the career that those young ladies have had, and hopefully we can send them out on a high note. And Janelle Condam's been a part of it all the way through. Esther Sankson, Leah Show had prominent roles within the program. Leah McConnell has done a great job for us, and Abby Geckler is our 5th senior, a little behind the scenes a little bit as far as through the years, but it's been a great presence for us in practice and the things that she brings to the table as well. So top to bottom, just an outstanding group that we're very happy with, and will continue to provide us with experience and leadership. And like I said, the biggest thing for us is that we're trying to send them out on top again.
You had 4 seniors last year that played significant minutes. So now you have those opportunities for other people to step in. What are maybe some returners that have that capability of filling some of those roles? Yeah,
I mean, obviously the number one thing is the goalkeeper side of things. It's something that we talked about in the spring, with Chrissy Lynn graduating and being a 4-year starter. It's a big opening for us on our roster. We got 3 very talented goalkeepers that are going to be challenging for that position. Lindsay Carley, Jessica Nedler, who will both be sophomores this fall, and then Abby Geckler, our senior goalkeeper as well. So it's an open competition, and it's going to be very interesting to see how that competition plays out during preseason and who kind of jumps to the front of the pack there. Some of the other spots that we have, I think overall this is just going to be the deepest roster that we've had in my 5 years here at Concordia. I know I kind of say that every year, but it continues to be true. We got a great incoming class coming in. We had a very strong spring season this spring with a number of our players that will be freshmen be sophomores or juniors this fall that had very good and successful springs for us. And so we're just really excited to see how some of these competitions play out this fall, and especially through preseason.
You mentioned that incoming class. Every year, really during this run you've been on since 2014, you've had a big impact freshman each year. What do you expect from that new group?
I think top to bottom, this is probably one of our most talented freshman classes. We got incoming classes, I should say. We got 9 freshmen and a junior college transfer that are coming in, and I think there's a number of players that have the ability to come in and kind of have that positive impact right away. There's a few players that we think are hopeful for positive surprises a little bit there, and again, they're just going to add depth across the board within our lineup. And so I expect them to come in and have an immediate impact just in preseason of creating a higher level of competition within the team as far as within different positions and things of that nature. So there's a number of players that we're really excited about coming in, and we'll see how the dust settles after preseason camp.
Well, a lot of times those preseason polls kind of reflect what happened the year before, so you kind of think you might be in that top 2 or 3 in the conference based on preseason expectations. How do you manage your players just as far as them kind of not taking it for granted, the success that you've had recently, and knowing you still have to work hard?
I mean, every year you turn a page and you start over, and it's a clean slate. So what we've done in the past doesn't do anything for us, but neither does it for our opponents. So everybody's level. That first game of the year, when we start conference season, everybody's level again, so the non-conference doesn't play a factor. So our goals remain the same that they have been every year for the last 4. We want to contend for the regular season championship. Our number 1 goal is to fall in the top 4 of the conference at a minimum. We want to be able to host that first round of playoffs, but we really want to try to start to contend for the regular season title as well, and then get into the conference tournament. That's the best route for us to get to nationals, is to win the conference tournament. And so we want to continue to play our best soccer through the conference season, and then into November when the conference tournament starts, and hopefully find ourselves qualifying for the national tournament again. And as far as managing the players and their expectations, it's a one game at a time mentality. It's a one day at a time mentality. It's all about the journey and the process more than it is about the end result. So we want to keep that focus, and that starts August 10th when they report.
Well, of course, a lot of coaches will say that the next game is the most important game, but there's been kind of some fun rivalries that have developed with teams like Midland and Hastings in the conference and inside the state. I'm sure those are fun games to look forward to every year to compete in.
Yeah, I think the most important thing for us is there's always been some games that I'm sure some of our players are circling on the calendar, and in the past there's a lot of talk about the Hastings games and that sort of thing, because they've always been at the top of the conference standings. And I think what's exciting about our program and where we're at right now is that it's kind of equal, and it's going both ways. We've really created a rivalry with Hastings, where before it was kind of a foregone conclusion that they were going to win that match. The same thing with Hastings, or with Morningside, with Midland, and that sort of thing. So those in-state rivalries are important, and they make it for fun competitions when we're able to match up with them. But really, and this is something that we had to learn the hard way a few years back, there's nobody in the conference that we can take lightly. Every game's going to be is a tough battle, and especially on the road. It's difficult to win on the road in this conference. So, we're not really focusing on one particular team. We're focusing really, again, and cliche as it may, but one game at a time, and just worrying about that next opponent.